Look at the backdrop. That is Ryan Divish. Listener, if you can't see it, go to the YouTube channel, Puck Sports, and look at the beautiful backdrop that Ryan Divish joins us this week. His weekly visit brought to you by Chalet Bowl, Washington's oldest operating bowling alley, established in 1941, located in Tacoma's Proctor District. Family owned and operated for 40 years. The Frederick family and staff specialize in customer service for your bowling, food, and fun experience while I can't even spit it out. Hey, Reggie, sorry that I butchered this for you. While at their unique 12-lane facility, Jesus, I think I'm drinking already, and it's early in the morning. I know, I wrote it. Visit chaletbowl.com to make your next reservation. He has the wonderful backdrop. You can kind of see back there on the farm there in Ording. We are broadcasting, doing the show from inside the Puck Sports studios, built by Limbach Lumber, family owned and operated in the Northwest since 1930. Northwest premier supplier of specialized lumber and moldings. Summer is here. That means deck and fence season. So go visit the fine folks at Limbach Lumber. Go see Paul, Matt, and Mark. They're going to help you out. LimbachLumber.com, located in Ballard. Puck Sports Studios, built by Limbach Lumber. You can also give them a call at 206-782-3487. All right. How's Ording this week?
It's a little cool this morning. I know I was supposed to crank up the heat wave here this week, but it's a little cool this morning. I'm sure it'll burn off and it'll be nice and toasty, you know.
It's coming. Don't worry about it. The heat's coming. We're going to get a nice and toasty 4th of July, sir.
Mm-hmm.
How do you like to celebrate a 4th of July?
Well, it used to be I'd be in Tacoma, and that place would be like Beirut or Afghanistan in a surge, like just bombs going off everywhere. And then, you don't really know the difference between gunfire and what's a firework. So this year, I'm home. It's a day game. I'll probably go over to our friend Alex Akita's house. He's having a little get together, and much like Tacoma, that kind of Southern Federal Way, Browns Point, Tacoma area that he lives in, a lot of explosions going off.
The 253 loves 4th of July.
Oh, I mean, it's nuts. I mean, it's 4th of July starts actually on about June 27th and runs through about July 8th. I'm like, I went in the wrong business. I should have just sold illegal fireworks. It's nuts how much money those people spend on that kind of stuff.
Yeah, you're damn right about that. Yeah, it's I love it. I love everything about it. I just, remember back in the day, when you were back growing up in Havre during 4th of July, when that week, would you bring, we did this in Renton. We would bring those poppets, remember poppets? Mm-hmm. And we would throw them at people.
Oh yeah.
In class.
Yeah.
I
got hit by, I remember Felix's son one time hit me with one in the Mariners clubhouse. Whipped one right at me, hit me in the back. So
they hurt. They'll sting a little bit.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I used to get buy the big string of black cats and then light them all off, like 200 at once.
Yeah. Oh, I love black cats.
We would do that. We'd go down an alley, and this is when I was a kid, and we'd go down the alley. There's this alley where this old all these old drunk guys would sit outside at the bar afterwards. They would go out there to smoke, and we'd go driving by and throw a bunch of black cats lit and then take off. God, we were terrible kids.
Did you ever drive around as kids? God, we did this too. I think everybody did this with the baseball bat and hit the mailboxes.
Oh yeah.
Did you ever do that?
No, not as much, because in Havre there's not as many, so we didn't do the mailbox baseball. But yeah,
we did that a lot.
And then when I was a kid, every your little toy soldiers and they all looked like they were all missing limbs because I was blowing them up with firecrackers. So, it was pretty crazy.
Was egging ever a big thing in Havre? I mean, small town, so you couldn't really get away with stuff like that.
Oh no, you still did it. Yeah, egging.
Okay.
Yeah, other stuff.
TPing houses?
Not as much TPing every once in a while, but egging and other stuff. Yeah, we're all degenerates.
Yeah, I wish the TPing of a house would come back. You don't see it anymore.
We used we used to steal all the jack-o'-lanterns off people's porches and then roll them down this big hill and let them
Yeah.
explode. That was always a
Yeah.
lot of fun too.
It's good stuff, man. I love it all. All right, we're on this episode. I think we're going to do a deeper dive and just kind of where this team is at right now, and I think where their superstar is at. I mean, they've moved him down in the lineup. They're hitting him, trying to get him going, hitting him seventh. He is, by all accounts, Ryan just lost this week. He's had his personal hitting coach that is flown in from Miami or the Florida area or Florida, and then who works with a bunch of other major leaguers. You got eyes of Edgar Martinez on him, and of course Jarrett DeHart. So three different sets of eyes that are on him. At what I mean, where are we at with him right now? And is too much information just too much?
I guess yes and no. Like I do think that they, he's searching. He's searching right now, and I would rather, I think, see if you're the Mariners or if you're a Mariners fan, I think you would rather see this kid trying everything to get going again. But really, by bringing in his swing coach, his personal swing guy, which actually was at the behest of Jarrett DeHart, who was like, "Hey, man, we need to do something." We're just, because sometimes it's just verbiage, or how you say it, or something like that. Sometimes it's just the trust factor of seeing something, and like really, anything you're trying to do, anything you can to get going, to feel something, to feel right. And I think that's what they're trying to do. I mean, like you're at this point, and it's just not working. Everything you've tried to get him going hasn't been. I don't know if it's all mechanical. I think it's mechanical and approach-wise, mental. So, but you got to fix some of the mechanical issues first before you can really go in there and compete. And so I think that's what it is. And I think for a lot of it is he's just kind of going back to basics and doing it that way. And so I don't know. Yeah, I think they've reached a point of critical mass or whatever, like rock bottom. You got to climb up. So that's where they're at.
I mean, just that there was I think a kid. What the hell happened there? Are you okay?
It's a golden retriever. Ella, come here.
Ella, what are you doing? There's the golden retriever listener in the background viewer. How old is Ella?
I don't know, 5 or 6, maybe.
5 or 6. What did Ella do?
She got scared. She knocked over this bucket and got scared.
Yeah, come on, Ella, don't get scared. There was a real code red moment this week, I thought, with him.
Mm-hmm.
And that code red moment was in the first game against the Orioles with Kimbrel coming in there to save. And you wrote about it. You noted it in your story. He had 5 straight four-seam fastballs.
Yep. I mean, 93.
93, 94. I mean, he should be all over this. Yeah. Most people are getting him away with the slider away and all that kind of stuff, but he couldn't get any of it. I mean, that to me I think we've all come to the conclusion, yes, it's panic time. He's struggling, but we think he's going to get it going and all that. Ryan, I think when I saw that, I was like, man, he's really lost right now if he can't hit that.
Well, I think that's part of it too. Like you're trying to do these changes and still trying to compete in games. And I mean, they still need him to play center field, and they still need him, and really you see it sometimes, like he'll hit one ball in a game. You think, okay, it's starting to come around. The path for his bat is really steep, because he holds the bat really kind of perpendicular and upright, and he's upright. And so then when he goes to engage, the bat has to come down quick. And it's not through the zone. Like how we're getting all nerdy. I feel like.
No, but it's good. Because I want to get nerdy because this week, and I know you like him, and I know you love the show. Mark DeRosa did a breakdown of him that was unbelievable.
It's just, and I think Mark talked about it. Like it's just steep, and so because it's steep, and you have to get to go from perpendicular to the zone. And the barrel doesn't stay in the zone long. So for him to hit it right and catch it where he wants to, it takes everything to be perfect. Whereas if you're a little bit more controlled and less steep, you don't have to be as perfect to catch the ball. A lot of it's timing, when he starts his legs, when he starts his load to get out in front. Because everybody thinks that when Service says you want him to catch the ball out in front, that like he has to be way out and the hands need to be way out. No, it just he needs to hit the ball on the plate, but still be in a good hitting position, out in front of the plate. And then he can hit it anywhere. I do think sometimes like the idea of like pulling the ball in the air has gotten in his head to the point where like, he's trying to do that so much, and that's put him off kilter a little bit. I think honestly, like at this point, just hit it hard. Go back to the basics of hit it hard, hit it up the middle, and at that point, like hit it hard, hit up the middle, and then you're okay. Like I liked in the game against the Twins, I think he hit some line drives to right field that were hit pretty hard. I'm like, I'll take that. I mean, that's a competitive swing at least compared to like some of the other stuff. So yeah, it's been really interesting to see like how difficult this has become. But this isn't like, this isn't uncommon for star players. I mean, look at Corbin Carroll. He made some swing adjustments too, and he's doing nothing. And granted, his was only 1 year, but I was going to go back and look. I know there have been points where guys have struggled a bit because like their swing gets out of whack and they think that they're doing everything the same that they were doing before, but they're not, because they can it might feel the same, but it's not the same. And so that's when you have to bring other sets of eyes in to try and fix it. But like, I think what they figured out, because his bat path is so steep and because it's kind of, late going and just real kind of unathletic, pound him inside with fastballs. And then like, once you get ahead, then you can do whatever the hell you want. But right now they're not afraid. Like before they were afraid to throw him a strike. Now they're just, hey, here it is. We don't even think he can hit this. I mean, like Kimbrel's fastball got a little bit of movement to it, but again, it's not like the Kimbrel we saw when 15 years ago or 10 years ago, where it really had the carry through the zone. Julio just couldn't hit it, and I don't know if he kept thinking that maybe a slider was coming, but like there was no reason for him not to. I mean, they had a base. That's another thing. They had a base open. They had a base open, and like we're just going to challenge you. And it's not because he wasn't hitting third or second, and Cal was coming up behind him. No, he was hitting seventh. So then I think it was, Rojas.
That's even another line of disrespect. No, who was hitting after him? Wasn't it?
I don't know.
I got it. I'll go pull back and I'll go pull the box score on that one. But you're right. I mean, again, had the base open. They could have just walked him if they wanted to, but then they said, no, we're just going to go after him. We're going to go after him with really a pitch that really he should just absolutely step on. Yeah. And he's unable to do it. And DeRosa this week, when he did this breakdown at MLB Central, kind of talked a little bit about what you did, but he just said, and he did a great just kind of breakdown of how, and you see it right when he swings and misses. He falls over almost every time now. And he's so off balanced. And that's what DeRosa was saying, is that he just is, and it's for him, as from a player's perspective, he said, when I can tell that a guy is really confused or searching for something or doesn't know what's happening, is that when they're off balance and they're falling over and they're just whiffing at everything. And you see that routinely with him this year. And you touched on a little bit, but it's about his load. And at least that's what DeRosa sees, that he doesn't load properly, that when he loads, he's actually loading, but immediately stepping forward. He's immediately coming towards, and that's what's causing him to be off balance. And then he did a side-by-side with Adolis Garcia and just said, watch the differences, how he loads. And it was a great video where you could see like the crease in the pants there of Garcia to show how properly he loaded on his back leg and then waited for the pitch to come. And then he went forward. He says Julio's just doing the absolute complete opposite of it. And just says that he's looked at a swing, the last week, and just see how he can understand and see just how confused he is up there at the plate. But I think you touched on something real quick, Ryan, that's why I asked you, is there too much information? I think sometimes you just go up there and remember what you did as a kid, and all you wanted to do as a kid, I just want to hit the ball as hard as I can.
Yeah, well, it's like the Tony Gwynn hitting advice of just getting a good athletic position and get a good pitch to hit and swing hard. I think that's part of it. You're right. He kind of sinks down into his legs, and that moves his head around. And so they were trying to get away from that. But it's like, when I had a college coach that was kind of like, oh, you need to You need to just spread out, simplify everything and just focus on hitting it hard up the middle. And so I don't know. I mean, like I don't. At some point, like you can analyze it all you want. You just need to go and go play. And I think
Just go hit
like
it.
well, like yeah, all the swing stuff you do on all the work you do that comes in the morning or that comes in your pregame and stuff. Once you get in the game, you can't think about that stuff. That's when you run into trouble. He's just got to go hit. But I think he's got a lot of things going on in his head too. It was like I remember Brad Miller was going through all this stuff when he was and trying different stances and different things and trying different setups. And I just remember Boy Glennon goes, I don't care if he goes up with a bat out of his ass. He just needs to go up there and try and hit.
I remember that quote.
Yeah.
It was a great – I always miss Lloyd. What he was as a manager, but he was what a manager should be to me. Yeah, just old and grumpy and just like a baseball lifer.
Yeah, I mean, he's actually a pretty good hitting coach. He worked a lot of years with Miguel Cabrera and some guys. So I think it's just. I mean, like we can analyze Julio all we want, but until he just gets kind of in a place where he feels comfortable, because then that's the other thing is like if you don't feel comfortable up there, you're not going to hit it. I mean, like. It's like me when we were golfing the other day. I could step up there to the tee, and it's just like I'm wasting my freaking time. Like there's nothing good. Nothing good is going to happen.
Well, you've already defeated.
Exactly.
You've already defeated yourself
because I didn't feel comfortable. So I don't know. You can analyze it all you want, and I think, and you're seeing kind of like. Some weird stuff now. It's like the old people stuff. Oh, maybe he should just stop doing that sign in the outfield and quit doing that little skip when he gets into the box. And he's got to quit smiling on the field, because he's got to get tougher. Like Bartles and James again, like Bill Kruger's long lost brother complaining about what he does there and like how much fun he has playing. He shouldn't be smiling at the other team. Like that would be worse. Like if he's out there pouting and something, you're like, okay, then it's reached a point of even worse. And then like, they get and
it hasn't reached that point. Like the other day when they got the, was it the win against the Twins? When was the last second? The Twins. He's one of the first guys out there.
Yeah, he loves to win. I mean, that's the thing. He hates losing, and then when he doesn't contribute, but you get that. And then these people they say, "Oh, you got to send him to the minor leagues." Like, what the hell is that going to accomplish?
Yeah, they're not going to send him to the minor leagues. I mean, that would do way more damage than I think people realize. This guy is a $470 million player who views himself as one of the best players in baseball, and you want to go disrespect him like that? And go send him to the minors. Go see what the reaction that he would have if you go do that.
We all have egos, and they all have pride. And then also, like, what is it? You go down there and beat the crap. Like yesterday, the starter that was facing Tacoma was throwing 90. He topped out at 90 on his fastball.
Doesn't the kid from Puyallup, who's a junior, throw 94?
Yeah, I mean, like, so it's like, what does that do for you? What does it do? And then also, it still weakens your team because then you're putting Rayleigh out in center. They don't have,
it's a stupid idea.
It's a dumb idea, but like they're like it was funny. Like you and I remember I used to get so mad at you when you would take callers when you're on the radio. I text you like, why do you do this?
It did make you angry.
Because I don't want to hear, I already hear it on Twitter. Like my no reply policy on Twitter has been amazing. Like people in my mentions now, I never reply to them. It's been amazing. Like I feel.
It's a good balance in life, is it not?
But there's, because like everybody's idea of how to fix them is usually not really well informed. And that's not their fault. It's just not, they're not there. They don't see it every day. And it's usually to the drastic or the extremes. It's like, I could have seen like moving him down in the order a week ago or 2 weeks ago just to do it because it just was like, it seemed like every time, like a lot of times where some big spots came up, he was batting and he wasn't feeling great. But then again, I just went and looked at the numbers again and it's like, he isn't as bad as everybody thinks. Like,
and the late game situations.
Yeah. And then like,
You just remember this. You're going to always remember. At least I do. I remember the failures more than I remember the big hits.
Yeah. I mean, like, it's like I just got some other ones. I got emails now. It's quickly. It's amazing too how quickly people have turned on the kid. And again, some of it is because of like you don't like how he plays. He wears the big jewelry and stuff like that. You know, how am I going? Oh,
wait a minute, do people really don't like the
jewelry?
Oh,
yeah, they don't like the jewelry and stuff like that.
What about his eyes? So they don't like his eyes?
Yeah, I mean, so I'm looking at it, and it's funny.
How about the documentary, huh?
Yeah, that one might.
Any emails about the documentary?
No, not yet. That might not be the most well-timed decision.
Well, it's and I'll be serious. A permission to be serious here for a second. If I were them, if I were the PR team of him, the marketing team, I'd pull it.
Yeah,
I would pull it. I'd say, you know what? Maybe we don't do it right now. I mean, they've committed to it. They've already done promos for it. For people who don't know, there's a documentary on Julio that's going to air right after the All-Star game, right after the post-game show on FS1, celebrating him being the next big superstar in the league. And he's not even going to be participating in the game.
Yeah, that's kind of rough. Yeah. It was funny, though. So I'm like looking at these stats, and I'm like, 2 outs, runners in scoring position. Like, Julio's batting 280. You know, the slug isn't there because it's all singles.
Yeah.
Like, you still take the hits. 8 RBIs. Their best hitter with 2 outs and runners in scoring position is Ty France, 10 for 26. That's 385 with a homer, 10 RBIs, 2 doubles. You know, and it's like
I think people when they say that he struggles, at least, and when I say the people, I'll include myself in this. It's those moments like this week in that situation against Baltimore. It's with the game on the line.
The defining moment. Yeah, it's like
and he doesn't have he has one of those.
Yeah, so this year in late and close, which is different. He's got a 341 average and an 873 OPS. You know, and meanwhile, like, you know, somebody like France is 214, JP Crawford 111. You know, and they're not in that, like, you know, Mitch Garver 147.
It's the Cal Raleigh moment, the moments that he's had. That's what I think fans. That's what fans want, and whether it's fair or unfair, expect from a guy making $470 million. I'm not saying that's fair to bring that up. I'm just saying that's what they expect.
I mean, they hold him to a higher standard than anyone else because he holds himself to a higher standard than any people do. Like, I don't care how big a fan you think he should be. He holds himself to a higher standard. Like, it's so Cal, it's kind of like mirrors Cal's statistics in late and close situations. He's had 62 plate appearances in late and close, which is the most of anybody. He's got a 212 batting average and an 839 OPS, you know, so he's got 10 walks, 19 strikeouts, but he's also got 4 homers, 3 doubles, and 19 RBIs. So it's like we don't remember some of the times Cal struck out, like last night after he hit the ball foul, he did strike out, you know?
Right.
So it's like, but, you know, the clutchiness thing is a lot of recency bias or bias in general. And that's kind of what I mean. Like, I just am surprised a little bit how much people have turned on the kid and some of their real stuff that kind of comes out as, and you're just like, okay.
You know what I bet they're doing though? You know what I think at the heart of it is? I think the heart of it is he, in a way, for some fans, represents the failures of the organization offensively to address it. And so when they see him struggle, it's just like they want to, I don't know, maybe focus their attention on him and take out their anger on him when really their anger is placed at the entire organization and really should be, you know, placed at Dipoto or them for not building, you know, acquiring players with better offensive talent around him. You have to blame someone. So he's struggling right now. So he's the number one target.
Yeah, because like he's out there every night, you know? Oh. But then again, they were blaming the hitting coach when nobody's hitting. Like, apparently the Bram Brown thing wasn't the savior, you know, getting rid of him. Like, I mean, so I got this. Good morning, guys. Someone needs to ask Scott about approaching the plate, choking up on the bat, crowding the plate. That's the answer to the Mariners' hitting problem.
Sure. How about lean into one, Dorn?
Well, they did last night. That's how they got their runners.
Yeah, they did.
They just were willing to take baseballs off their body because it was better than trying to hit them.
Yeah, just take one right in the side. Yeah, but it's, you know, if you go back and look, and I looked at it this week. Let me pull up my
like,
you'll appreciate this little notepad, huh? That reporter's notepad.
Yeah.
Hold on. I want to. They have not been good offensively in the history of this front office for this regime.
No.
minus the first year. God, I went back and looked at that first year in 2016 when that was the first year DePoto took over. He took over in the end of September 15, but first full year, right? Yeah. They were 8th in OPS. This is the only time in the DePoto tenure they have been top 10. They were 8th in OPS, 8th in total runs scored. God, you go back and look at those numbers, because I think if you asked a Mariner fan and go, what did you think of Robinson Cano? I bet you the majority would say failure. I think. That year, he hit 298. He drove in 103 and hit 39 home runs. He had an 882 OPS. Cruz that year was 287, 43 home runs, and 105 runs driven in. OPS of 915, and then Seager was, now in that all-star Seager mode where he was at 278 with an OPS at 859, had 30 home runs. But after that, from 17 on, they basically have ranked in the 20s in both of those categories. And we keep talking about it. You keep asking the questions every year, every offseason, every spring training, from mailbag questions, responding to emails, answering questions about how to fix this offense. What are they doing? I mean, it feels there's this organizational philosophy on hitting. What is it? What are they trying to accomplish?
I don't know. I mean, like, they can have an overall organizational philosophy on hitting, but like, again, like most hitters just kind of go do it themselves once they step in the box, like they're not really worried about the idea of the control of the zone is get a good pitch to hit it hard. Like everybody thinks it's like taking walks and stuff like that. You know why they hit good in those years? They had good players. Like they had
is that how you do it?
I mean, like Robinson, Cano, and Nelson Cruz at that point were borderline Hall of Fame trajectory level players. The PEDs derailed them, but like they were good players. They were so
can I step
Kyle
in there
Seager.
though? So if you, I just want to, I'm tracking you here because Cruz and Cano were free agents.
Yeah.
If you spend money on good players, generally, do you get good players?
Yeah, that's usually how it works.
Okay.
Because that was the thing is like Robinson Cano is the best hitter on the market that year, if I recall correctly. It might have been, I don't think Pujols was that year. Did they overpay against themselves? Yeah, they outbid themselves. Only the Mariners could find a way to do that, but yes, they did. And like Nelson Cruz was considered a really good hitter. There were question marks about him, but Cruz had 3-year deals on the table from the Orioles, and I think one other team or 3 other teams. He took the Mariners because the Mariners gave him 4 years, and Cano was there, and he kind of liked it. He wanted to stay he wanted to come back to the AL West. So it's like, okay, this isn't. They went and got good players. People look at, and it's funny, like they look at the production numbers and stuff like that. Robinson Cano was really productive. He had one kind of bad year, and then he got really good again. That was the year he had the 2 hernias. So I'll give him a pass on some of that. Cruz was ultra consistent from the time he got here.
Cruz was a machine from 34 to 37. He was 302, 44, 93, 287, 43, and 105, 288, 39, and 119. And his last year at 37, he hit 256 with an OPS of 850, 37 home runs and 97 runs driven in.
Yeah. Like they don't, that's the thing is like these guys are premium offensive players. That trio of Cano, Cruz, Seager, and then even like the petulant Gene Segura who hit 300. I mean, those are 4 real players. Those are 4 all-star caliber players right there. Like legitimately on this team, Haniger's made did Haniger make an all-star team? No, he did. I don't think he did. I think he should have.
Who other than Julio position players made it?
Ty made it 1 year.
Yeah.
But I don't think anybody else has. Maybe Garver. I don't know.
Made it in a Mariners uniform.
But those guys like Cruz, Cano, Segura, and Seager were like legitimate, viable big league producers that hit. And then like, that's the thing is like, and DePoto did get. I think DePoto acquired Segura, but like, and he was.
Didn't he get him in the Arizona deal?
Yeah, as productive as he was it was kind of regrettable because like he was such an ass.
Or was he a
Everybody
part of the Segura deal to go there? I can't even remember Gene Segura.
No, Segura came from Arizona. The Mariners got him in the Taiwan deal. But yeah, like that's the thing. Like, you know, that's a real group. They went out and got real dudes. Now, you know, you can say, well, they're hamstrung by payroll, and they most likely are. But you know, then you can't complain. Like the Mariners, and I don't think the ownership really complains that much because they don't, whatever. But like those are real guys.
What do you mean, whatever?
Yeah, those are real guys. You know?
Okay.
I mean, like I'm looking at it now. So that was the 15-year you're looking at. Was when they were actually decent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, 2016. That was the first year when Jerry took over.
Yeah. Think about this. Like, you remember how bad Adam Lind was when he was here? He hit 20 homers that year.
Which that would take 20 in a heartbeat now.
I mean,
but it's a kind of a bigger picture thing, because now you could make an argument in the early portions when they were drafting guys, right? They didn't draft a ton of, you know, they went heavy on pitching and college pitching and all that. And they have been, I feel like it's a disclaimer every time we talk about the offense and how they haven't been able to acquire any offensive talent or draft any offensive talent, and then say, but they've been so good with pitching, which they have been. They're unbelievable at finding pitchers, drafting them, developing them, and not only just drafting, but finding guys in Japan and off the scrap heap and bringing them in here. They're unbelievable. And they and you hear pitchers, you talk to them all the time, talk about how, wow, when I come here and I hear what they're saying and they show me this stuff, it's like it's saved my career, or it's helped my career. Why it doesn't carry over to the hitters? Because, you know, since they started that first draft in 2016, Cal Raleigh, and they signed Julio.
Yeah, I mean, that was the previous regime too.
What's that?
Oh yeah, but the guy, they fired that guy that signed him.
Oh, that signed Julio. That's right. The scout. Yeah. That's right.
He signed Julio, Noelvi Marte, Pablo Lopez, Freddie Peralta.
That's right. Yeah. So I mean, it just feels like now, and I know this new wave of talent. They've got 5 guys that are ranked in MLB's top 100 pipeline, and they look to be legitimate guys. So maybe it was a philosophy early on not to go positional players. I don't know. You tell me. But now they have all these guys that appear that they're going to be hitters, but you know, we don't know, and we're not going to know for I don't know how many more years.
Well, I think part of it is where they were picking at too. You know, you're picking in the lower level of the first round because they were competitive enough, like they weren't picking in the top 10. You know, so you're picking in the lower first round. So like a lot of times that's where you do get college pitchers that are projectable, and maybe like the premium bats are already gone. Like Travis Bazzana of Oregon State, the second baseman who hits tanks. He was at T-Mobile Park yesterday, and it wasn't because like they were working him out. They have no chance of drafting him. He's going to go in the top 5. He was there to see Adley Rutschman. But like, yeah, I mean, I think that's part of it. It's part of where you're picking. And, you know, let's not forget, Kyle Lewis was one of their highest draft picks, and everything about that guy looked like the truth. And now he's not even in baseball.
It's fair.
Because his knee exploded. Fair. You know,
that's fair.
You know, and I like, you know, Evan White, he didn't have maybe the hitting, and then he never was healthy enough to ever know if he could really hit. You know, he could never stay healthy. So the injuries have kind of derailed that. I do think, though, that like I think projecting hitting and developing hitting is more difficult than pitching. Okay. Like pitching, it's all about keeping guys healthy. I think hitting is more difficult because it's so hard to hit now. Like the guy in Tacoma was facing a guy throwing 90. The team that they faced the starters threw 90. The next 3 guys that came in were throwing 100 as relievers. You know, it's like that. It's so hard to hit anymore. Like you look, the pitching ninja guy is kind of a raging self-promoter at times, but when he does
we all?
Yeah. But when he does the overlay of pitching to show the tunneling and like like how do you hit? You know, like, and I mean, like it was like the other day when Castillo didn't bunt, and the guy's throwing 94, and I don't know if you saw it, and there's video of it. Santos yesterday threw a pitch yesterday in the Tacoma game during his rehab, and the guy tried to bunt it, hit him in the head. It bounced off the bat and hit him in the head and laid him out.
How about just stick the bat out there like this? The guy was going to throw it right down the plate. Just have him stick it out and let it bounce.
The moment
just
you try
why?
and bunt, because you don't. That's the thing is you don't try and throw it.
But
down
I'm not even talking about. But I'm not talking about even in bunting, Divish. I'm talking about him just standing here and just putting the bat out like that and just let it hit it. Just do something. I don't know.
Given the current status that the Mariners are on right now and the luck they've exhibited, would you think so? That ball would have hit off the bat, hit Castillo in the face, shot over and hit somebody in the dugout and hurt them as well. So no.
Yeah. Could it have hurt Polanco?
I don't know. But that's 95. That's the thing. Is like guys throw so hard now. It's harder to hit than it's ever been before. I mean, like what are we looking at now? I was going to look at the league averages or whatever, but like nobody's hitting anymore.
OPS is down, yeah.
Like significantly. You're not going to have these guys anymore. It's so, that's the thing. Like you look at those Mariners, that's what makes the Orioles crazy is because every guy has an OPS over 800, I think, but one guy, and that's Cedric Mullins, who's been hurt and been kind of dinged up and that's craziness to me. Like this is where it's at, and it doesn't matter. Like we've shifted we got rid of the shifts. We've done everything to increase the balls in play and everything like that, and it still doesn't matter. So I'm looking at Fangraphs right now. There's 10 players with OPSs over 900. 10.
Wow.
Judge.
You should look. You know what he should look at? What was it 5 years ago?
I don't know.
That's what I'd like to know. 5 years ago, and then maybe 10 years ago, to see how many people had OPSs over 900.
I mean, like there's, maybe there's like 30 that have OPSs over 800. I mean, Edgar Martinez had there's 41 players with OPSs over 800. 41 out of all the hitters, qualified hitters. I mean, like Edgar Martinez had a career OPS over 800.
It's again, back to my favorite show in the morning. Mostly because Lauren Shahadi's on it. MLB Central.
Yeah.
Robert Flores was telling the story that he was the Astros were in town. For people that don't know, Flores is the host of it, the main host, and the Astros are his team, and so he went and watched them. They're playing the Yankees or the Mets, and he sat behind home plate, and he goes, "You know what? I'm never going to complain anymore or chastise or criticize why these guys can't hit because you just cannot see it." And he's right, because most of the time when I go to the Mariners games, well, pretty much all the time, I sit up in the bleachers, and when you see it from there, you're like, oh, why can't you hit that? Just if maybe you can't afford those seats, many people can't. Find yourself at your next Mariners game. Okay, walk on down there. Just say, hey, tell the green jacket person I'm looking for somebody, and watch a couple of pitches, and just look at it. It is almost remarkable, Ryan, that these guys can actually hit these dudes.
Yeah, like when we're at spring training and we can kind of get down when they're just throwing bullpens, so they're not like 100%, and we can kind of stand really close to where the catcher is, and you see it, it's just like no. I mean, like I've faced guys throwing 90 before, and I've like even in fast pitch, these guys throwing 80 from like 20 feet. But like you can't see it. Like these guys are the best in the world. They manipulate the ball. So I looked in 2019, there were 78 players with OPSs over 800 versus 40. So half. And it's double, in 2019.
It's just ridiculous. Yeah, I watch it. I remember watching recently a high school baseball game, and it, even at that level, this kid was throwing 93, and I'm like, I don't know how you guys at this level hit that. Yeah. I just don't know how. I don't know how you do it. I mean, it's a snap of a finger, and it's on you. It's remarkable. Now I'm in a rabbit hole looking at the drafts, and I'm just thinking back what this organization would look like if they hit, and it looked like they did on their first two picks in 2016 and 17, and how different you would look. You would have your starting, Lewis is a center fielder, right?
Yeah, center or right.
Okay. So you have your outfielder, center or right, and then you have your first baseman forever. Because it was Kyle Lewis and Evan White, and they both looked like they were going to be stars.
Yep.
And then they both, failed. And then 2018, the first round pick was Logan Gilbert.
Yep.
And Gilbert's been fantastic. I mean,
they went Gilbert, Kirby.
Kirby was in 2019.
Hancock.
Bam, bam. I mean, we could be talking about maybe one of the greatest runs, certainly in franchise history, but one of the greatest runs in baseball, hitting on your first round picks. I mean, they were just nailing everyone. Hancock was in 2020. I mean, probably jury's still on Hancock, but certainly very good. And then now we're getting into the new guys, but Harry Ford was in 21, and but Wu was part of that class in the 6th round.
Yeah, and Wu and Bryce Miller and Cal are all draft picks. I mean,
it's frustrating though. It's frustrating to not have that young offensive talent, right? To be able to kind of lean on.
Yeah, they may get it eventually, but Brad Miller, Nick Franklin, Chris Taylor, Mike Zunino, they were all young offensive talent, and it just they all got there, and they're all like Mike Zunino and Brad Miller and Chris Taylor have had good MLB careers, just not with the Mariners per se. They maybe never reached the potential that everybody thought, but getting to the big leagues and like contributing the way they have, that's still viable for because I think that's another thing is like there's so many first round draft picks that never even come close. So like to get them there, and it's getting the later round picks to contribute as well. Like getting like if this Logan Evans kid comes up and helps at some point, that's big, stuff like that. So as
we record this this week, this July 4th week, why not? Let's just wrap up Julio. I want to ask you a few more questions about maybe get some Polanco stuff, and then Santos, and then the catcher, and then we can cut you loose. Why not just hit him leadoff? Because that if you look at his career, we've talked earlier about hitting him in third and second, all that, but hitting leadoff really for him has been his best spot. Is it maybe just I would just get him back there and get him more comfortable, because he clearly in his career has liked hitting there, and he's only done it 18 at bats this year, and he's hit 389 with an OPS at 945. But in his career, he's got an 896 OPS and batting 296 with an on base of 350.
I mean, at this point, you can't really sacrifice a live chicken, so you might as well try something.
You know what you can do, and you know what you should do.
What?
Come on.
Oh,
Mark Grace. Mark Grace knows. Mark Grace knows what to do.
Someday I have a shirt with a slump buster. It says slump buster on it, and it's got the outline. It's you
of the woman.
Yeah, you'd find it amazing.
Basically, slump buster, fellas, or people watching and listening, it's a woman that looks like me.
Yeah.
So
it works. It's magic.
I'm just saying, throw it against the wall.
I mean,
moving him down hasn't worked, because they did that this year and it didn't work.
Yeah, they could do anything at this point. I mean, like, honestly, they shouldn't be afraid to try any one thing.
Right?
I mean, hell, go up, choke up the plate, and try and get hit like Roger Dornstyle, like that emailer said.
Yeah, I would.
Who knows? I don't know. I mean, they're reading. Like everybody just says, well, DFA him. The part of the problem is
who DFA Julio?
Well, everybody, no, not Julio, but all these players. It's like everybody's like, let's DFA France, let's DFA Polanco, let's DFA.
Yeah.
That's one, you've invested money into these guys too. Like, you have to have viable replacements. Now, people can sit there and say, oh, Bliss is a viable replacement. That remains to be seen. I think you can sit Polanco, and I think you may. I don't think that this is like, you may see that coming. I don't know that Scott loves playing Polanco every day, but that's kind of where they're at. They have no GM or no manager in baseball just gets to play whoever they want. This isn't like the Moneyball movie where they got to trade a guy so the manager doesn't play him. It's not how it works anymore. The GMs have ultimate power. They tell you who you got to play. They can say, we're playing this guy. This is how our roster is built up. I think, at some point, Polanco becomes a sunk cost. You can just sit him, or you could DFA him.
What would you do? Would you give him until the break? And if it doesn't get going at the break and then pull the plug of the second half of the season?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, like, right now, the problem is if Dylan Moore was playing a little bit better, he's been a little cold lately. He does hit the ball. I mean, at least he hits the ball hard when he hits it. I'd rather play Dylan Moore over Bliss. Some combination of Bliss, of Rojas and Dylan Moore in the infield, I prefer. Like if you had to move Rojas back to second, put Moore.
Because you think if you play Bliss more, he's going to get exposed.
I do. I think so. I mean, I think he's going to be a good player, but I just think you watched him a couple of times where he looks really overwhelmed by certain pitchers. So, and I honestly, like, if Haggerty's healthy, Bliss isn't even on the team. You know what I mean? Like they would have kept Haggerty. They're kind of, this is where they're at. I mean, somebody emailed me, they should just take Tim Anderson instead. I mean, I don't know, like it's a free player, but that's you're getting to the point now where you're through July. You're going to have to pay the 3 months if you DFA him, whatever, because he can't go to the minors. That's another thing. Let me tell people this: you can't send like Ty France or Ryan or Jorge Polanco to the minors. You can't DFA him, outright him to the minors. When you have as much service time as those guys do, they just decline the outright and become a free agent. And then you're just paying for them regardless. They're not in your system anymore, but it's at some point the diminishing returns of carrying a player exist and whether or not you want to carry him. My guess is they carry him, they just don't play him for a while if it gets to that point, and then they make a decision. Maybe they want him to work on some more stuff, but I don't like, honestly, the players they have are decent players, but like I don't sit there and say, oh yeah, if you just don't play him, you're going to get significant uptick in production. Though you've got no production, so I guess it is. But like I don't sit there and look at it and say like Dylan Moore is an everyday player just because, or Ryan Bliss is. That's the imperfections of the roster. They thought that Polanco was still the guy from a few years ago. He clearly is not, or he's in his own head. I mean, like last night after the game, he just sat at his locker in his uniform. I mean, guys were gone and he's just staring ahead. Like you could tell he was embarrassed about how he played and how frustrated he was. And like what these guys don't like, it's hard for him to grasp being that bad when you've always been pretty good, so I think he knows it. I think
they all know it. Yeah. And I think I hope fans understand it. I mean, they get it. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of guys, these guys got pride and they don't want to disappoint. This is their job. They want to go out and perform. Santos, do we see him after the break?
I guess.
Or maybe before.
What do we got till the break? A week?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe you see him back before them.
Okay.
Make 2 or 3 more appearances.
All indications he's looked good, right?
Yeah. Throwing 98, 99 yesterday.
Yeah, that will be very nice to have. And then you're a good friend, Savala is back. That they played with fire with that whole Garver Raleigh thing. I mean, I understand what they were trying to do, but I don't know. when you catch one of them, you can't play the other one. It's stupid.
Pretty tough. That's a pretty tough scenario to roll through. And I mean, like, Savala knows the players and stuff. I don't know how much he'll play, and they'll have to make another move. I mean, like, it's the thing. They were able to use Diaz. They got to insert a starter for Saturday. I mean, certain people are going to freak out if they send Ryan Bliss down to bring up Emerson Hancock because they need the starter and they got to carry the extra catcher.
Yeah, probably. Of course they're going to freak out. Everyone's going to freak out. It's going to be a freak out weekend, man. It's 4th of July. It's everything. Everyone's going to get nuts. All right. Long extended visit with you. You're the best. Ryan Divish is always brought to you by Chalet Bowl, Washington's oldest operating bowling alley, established in 1941, located in Tacoma's Proctor District. Family owned and operated for 40 years. The Frederick family and staff specializes in customer service for your bowling, food, and fun experience while at our unique 12-lane facility. I nailed it this time. Go to chaletbowl.com to make your next reservation. Ryan Divish, Puck Sports Studios, built by Limbeck Lumber. Thank you, buddy. We'll talk to you next week.
Sounds good.